Okay, I'm gonna make this short, but basically 5.5 years ago, I shot a video about this lens. It's Sony 16mm f2.8 for APS-C, and I also covered the ultra-wide adapter for it. And 5.5 years later, as of October 2021, that video has 42,000 views and counting. It's insane to me. For a channel that I just upload random videos here and there to and haven't even really done anything for a while, that's a lot of views. And with me wanting to get back into recording content and just trying out YouTube again for fun, I figured why not jump back in and review the same lens 5 years later. So this isn't gonna be any intense data-driven review or anything. This is just me having fun with things and showcasing the lens pretty quick. Honestly, it's just coming to me now. I'm currently shooting with the Sigma 16mm f1.4. So 5 years later, I bought another 16mm lens. And why is that? But if you're looking at camera reviews and lens reviews, you're going to run across this lens. It's basically like the big streamer webcam lens. It's great for wide angle, especially on APS-C, because it matches the 24mm focal length on full frame. And I'm basically 6 to 7 inches away from the lens. Like, I am so close and I'm in focus. Like, the focus distance is amazing. I use this for my craft beer Instagram. And once I switched from 50mm over to the 16mm and I got that sweet f1.4, ooh, it's hard to go back. If you're looking to have fun with the 16mm lens that is small, this lens here, it's portable. It's tiny, and this brings an APS-C camera closer to the size of a pocket camera. With the Sigma 16mm, it's bigger than my A6400. So size is definitely a factor here. And then if you're looking just to try out different focal lengths and experiment with different lenses and you don't want to invest too much money, I bought this one secondhand. You can probably find one pretty cheap. And the addition of having the ultra-wide converter, which basically negates the effect of the APS-C and brings it up to full frame size. So like true 16mm, you can have some fun with it. All right, so I've got the A51 hooked up with the 16mm f2.8 as my webcam. And as you can see here, the image is pretty sharp. And I'm gonna go switch over to that in just a moment. But 1080p, it looks pretty damn good, and especially for video content when this is like the webcam off in the corner, like it gets really sharp. So we're gonna switch over to that now. All right, so here's the lens in all of its glory. Right now my scene is pretty dark, so on my camera I have it set to ISO 1000, so you are gonna see more grain in the image, but it's also 1080p. I'm shooting in 4K, so I'm changing the image a little bit. I just have a cheap capture card, so you can kind of see some strobing. And if you buy a better capture card, you will get better quality as well. But this one was like 30 bucks, captures 1080p, 30 frames a second. Now I have this mirrorless camera image from my computer. That's pretty damn sweet. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the wide angle comparison shots. All right, we're pretty close to done, but the last thing I want to do is show you just the difference right now, what adding on the wide angle lens does. This is the pancake lens on my A6400 right now, and so 16mm, but something else you have to take into account is with the lens being so much shorter than this 16mm, that is definitely a factor in terms of distance, but then in terms of closeness, how you can get, like, it's pretty good. Like, I'm still fairly close to the camera, but it's not that insane short distance that you can get with the Sigma. But you know, that's just, but this is about showing what this lens can do. So with the ultra wide, there's a red line on here. That'll be hard to kind of see, but there's a red line on the lens as well. Surprise, surprise. You line it up, you twist it on, and there's a little click, and boom, my image just got this much bigger. From all of the photos, comparisons and everything, I did edit the photos and add a little bit of texture and played with the clarity, but overall, all the shots that use the ultra wide adapter do end up being a little bit fuzzier. They don't have that same sharpness. If you want these extra additions to add, there's also the fisheye, like I said before. You can play around at a pretty good entry-level price. But for me, the quality that I get out of the Sigma 16mm is just far superior. So I am sticking with this one. So that pretty much wraps it up for the Sony 16mm f2.8 lens review. It's just a quick show just to look at the differences with the adapter and without. And overall, I mean, I gotta say, 5.5 years later, I'm still using it. It's the lens for my now webcam with the A5100. So for me, it's useful. And if you're just getting into mirrorless cameras and you want something small and pocketable, it's perfect. Being able to put on the adapters and get ultra wide is also pretty sweet. But for me personally, especially for the price, investing in the Sigma 16mm, getting that f1.4, that's hard to beat. But you know, everyone comes from a different place, and this is still a great option, especially if you want to play around a bit. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you for watching. I've had fun filming this. Nice to have a focus and shoot some video. Now it's time to dive into editing. So who knows what I'll do next.